Panel number 2, which is focused around education. This is Margaret Bransfield from St. Olaf College. She's one of our U1 partners. And I worked with Margaret at St. Olaf. I went to St. Olaf. And I was a judge there. So anyway, take it away.
All right. Yes, so for those of you that don't know me, I've been at St. Olaf College for a year now as the Associate Director of Entrepreneurship and Outreach. And we have a wonderful contingent here tonight. We've got some faculty and staff, a couple of alumni in the house, so really excited to see Northfield and St. Olaf represented.
Raise the house.
We also have a really wonderful panel for you here to talk about some of the educational resources in the region. Am I talking loud enough? Can you guys hear me in the back?
That's better.
A little bit more? Okay. All right, I'll be on the verge of yelling. How about that?
Good.
Okay. So in addition to the folks who are represented here, we also have in the region St. Mary's College as a higher educational institution. And I learned today about a couple of really cool high school programs where, for example, Red Wing Ignite, and I know there's a project in Rochester where the ecosystem is really supporting high school students and getting them learning about entrepreneurship at that level. So there's a lot of really wonderful things happening. So now we'll introduce our panel of education resources in the region. So if I could maybe, Nick, start with you. We know that you've broken your ankle and that you coach soccer. Right? But could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what makes you passionate about supporting entrepreneurs?
Sure. So I went to the University of St. Thomas. Of course, like your traditional entrepreneur, I had to create my own major and go to 3 schools to do it. So I went to the University of Minnesota. I was in the Naval ROTC program. I went to MCAT to get a degree in animation, and then I convinced the chair at St. Thomas that he needed a new major in journalism, mass communication, and animation. And so I graduated from there, did some time in the Navy, started my first company in San Diego, got that going. We did pretty well for a couple years in a row, then the economy tanked, and like any good entrepreneur, I went and moved into the next thing, supporting people with different kinds of disabilities and doing a lot of pro bono work while I was looking for that next idea. But it was the best thing that happened for me because I ended up at the Nerdery where I built a lot of technology. I was the Director of Innovation at Lifetime Fitness, and I left Lifetime to start a company called Vitals Aware Services. We founded this to help people with invisible disabilities communicate their disability with law enforcement and try to see if we can make an impact in the number of fatalities and injuries that were being unfortunately incurred by law enforcement. During that whole time, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is because I saw, as a repeat entrepreneur, there were things that I wish I would have had when I first started. And then as I got going, there are other resources that I needed, and so I wanted to create a company that could help founders and entrepreneurs get their idea off the ground fast.
Thank you, Nick. And Will, you're fairly new to Winona State.
Yes, my vast knowledge and experience, I'm now in my 2nd semester at Winona State, so I am an expert. I've had 8 careers. I've lived all over the world, done every job I've ever taken. I've never known what I was going to do when I started it. I haven't had to apply for a job since 1978, and it's because of networking. And one of the things that I want to do and what I love to do is mentor young people who have this desire to develop new things. So by using my network and connecting them and helping them understand how to network, helping them come to a safe place like at Winona State. My office is just a bizarre place where people just come and share ideas and want to take it to the next level. I'm not asking students to, in 2 semesters, come up with a new business that they're going to make millions of dollars. That's not the point at that age. It's to help them understand that there's a culture, there's an ecosystem, there's a support system. Fail now, and fail in a very safe place so that you can learn from that failure. And I just call failure experience. It's not a negative thing. It's just things we do in life and get used to it. So that's what drives me. I spend a lot of time in IBM also, but not Rochester. I went there to get my picture taken once.
And Katie, you're at Minnesota State College Southeast.
Correct. I am the Director of Business Relations at Minnesota State College Southeast. We have 2 campuses, one here in Red Wing and one down in Winona. We are, like I said, a community college. Yes, we're part of the Minnesota State system with with Winona State, one of the 37 different community, technical, and state colleges. We have, why I'm passionate about entrepreneurial and why the college is, one of our flagship programs, we have a lot of our music programs, our band instrument repair, our guitar building and repair, and our band instrument and violin building and repair. So the average age of our students is 28, you'd be surprised to know. We just started a new program, which is the first in the country, of bicycle design and fabrication, which one of our students is here tonight. Came from California for that program, and I'm very excited. But, and one of my instructors, thank goodness, Mark, is here today, in case you have any difficult questions about academic stuff. Mark will be the one. I'm the one, I work with, I'm customized training, so I work with all the local businesses, which are, some of them are also entrepreneurs. On a personal level, I work for the government, my husband works for the county, but my oldest son just started, this is the second year working for a startup roofing company as a project manager, and my youngest son is studying abroad in London, and he is starting in 2 weeks for a startup. He has an internship there with a startup IT company, and he told me he's in a WeWork space. And I'm like, what? That's just like Red Wing tonight. And I said, how did it go? What? Tell me about it. It's going to be awesome. And they have kegs of lager and kegs of cider, and you get to drink that after work. End of summer. So someone mentioned what's cool about entrepreneurial, you get to drink. Well, apparently that happens in my
Will, tell us a little bit more about Winona State and what some of the programs are that you're offering and what you're excited about.
Sure. As I said, this is my first year. For the last couple of years, they've had it was called the Warrior Initiative Challenge, and they would have one competition per year, which was for $10,000. And it really got the program going, got a lot of our alums interested. The alums mostly fund my program. And when I was asked to take it over, I said, well, I don't want to do that. It's too, I don't want to take over something that's successful. I want to try something new. So instead of doing the 10,000 challenge, I send out mini grants where students have to come up with projects, and they could be within a class, could be outside of a class, but they have to work with faculty and staff and hopefully community people. And those grants go from $100 to $1,500. But it's just to get them to that next level of understanding so they can take things forward. So that's been very successful. I've got 4 grants out right now. One is for video game development with one student. I've got Bridges Health Winona. It's where the nursing program goes into the community to provide no-cost preventative medicine services for underserved populations. I have a 5-year-old who's working with his dad, who's a staff person, who said, I want to do something for homeless people, and he's designed a vending machine for socks for homeless people. And he's got his first shipment of 250 Bombas socks. He's met with all the nonprofit organizations in the community, and he's going forward with this. As a matter of fact, he and his dad were supposed to be here tonight, but they're pitching to somebody. So, I gave them $1,500 to make it happen. So it's a lot of. I don't teach classes. I work with individuals. I work with groups. I had 6 groups of students pitch to me before I came up here today. I've got part of the WinStart program, which is Southeast, St. Mary's, and Winona State. We've got 3 healthcare projects coming out of that and another video game project. So it's a lot of experiential learning. I've got a cadre of staff and faculty across all colleges. I'm not with any college. I actually don't report to anybody. I don't tell anybody. So so we really are looking at putting together students with mentors, faculty, staff to come up with projects. So they understand what it's like to develop an idea, to develop a business, if you will. And then they start saying, oh, now I get it. Now I know why I need to take that finance class, because I need to know finance if I'm going to actually run this thing forward. So it's really getting them, throwing them into the deep end, giving them a safety net, helping them understand what it takes, and then they come back into the school and go, oh, yeah, I better take that marketing class, and I better take that whatever, so to help them take the next level. So it's a lot of that. And a lot of networking. A lot of networking. If I can just, one more thing. My students, I network to all the leadership in the community. So any of my students can go into any CEO, bank president, whatever, and those people are excited to see my students because they have been working together, they've been in groups together, and they just know that these are the young people that are the future of our community.
Excellent. Nick, so it sounds like you've been in this space for a long time. What made you develop your startup school, beginning with customer-driven innovation and then going into the lean startup?
Well, it really started out of the concept of our startup studio. So the startup studio concept was, we believe that ideas are easy and execution's hard. And so if we could get founders to come into an environment and put people around them that already know the startup process, we could get things done faster, right? Because we want to fail fast, we want to de-risk as we go. Well, we also said we want to do this over 1,000 times. If we're going to have 1,000 startups, we're going to need to fail a lot. Well, it means we're going to need a lot of ideas. Well, ideas come pretty fast and easy, and if you go to a coffee shop, we were talking earlier about going to Subway, you'll find ideas, they're all over the place. Well, now you need people that know what to do with those ideas. And it was like, well, we should probably make an academy and start teaching people how do you diagnose, unpack those ideas, and start with that fuzzy front end, that design thinking process where you figure out, you shouldn't just have an idea that solves a problem. How important is that problem? Who's it important for? Where and when does that problem exist? And then when should it be solved? Because if you change the context of the solution or the problem or the customer, you might have a whole different outcome. And understanding how to break that down is critical to the success of a business, and understanding if you should pivot. Are you not getting the right validation on your idea because you're not talking to customers in the right spot or at the right time? And how would you know? Because sometimes you just get lucky. And so we thought, well, what if we had a place, how might we create a school that teaches people that process before they start the lean startup? Because the lean startup helps you validate. Well, what do you got to do before that to validate your idea?
Do you find that founders are meeting team members in some of those experiences?
My hypothesis would be that I think so. I think the people that I've networked with since doing my last startup, working at Lifetime, talking to people about their ideas, is that it just kind of happens all over the place. But I think one of the things that we think is important is that it's that culture, or having a culture of a startup, which means share your idea, share your problem, talk about it, refine it, make it better, and do it over and over again, because there's nothing precious about your idea. There's something very precious about supporting somebody that wants to go do it, because the execution is the hardest part.
Yeah. So that I think that network connection piece keeps coming back, whether it's a founder needing somebody to operationalize their idea, or just meeting somebody who can validate that an idea is something that should be moved forward.
Right. Can I
Yeah,
so
please.
I think to that point, one of the things that we believe too is that, if we talk about, I don't know if it's necessarily the only way, but that concept of what do you need to get a team to take off, we have a concept, right, that's born from Silicon Valley, the hipster, hacker, and hustler, right? Entrepreneuring is not a one-person sport. You need a couple people, and if you can identify your counterparts, because you might be one of them, right? If the hustler is the one that does the sales, gives the pitch, brings people in, right? The hacker is the person that builds. It doesn't mean tech. If you do food science and you like granola, you might be the hacker of a new granola bar, right? And the hipster knows the space. They see the opportunity, and they think they see a way to get it done. But you put those three together, you've got enough of a core team to make something happen.
So speaking of that network, what are you guys most excited about in terms of this regional collaboration?
Well, the college is all about collaborating. I work with half of the people probably in the audience on different projects with Burke and our Learn and Earn program, and Sherry, I sit on the Economic Development Committee. I worked with Red Wing Ignite. That's how we started the maker space. We're all, as a college and as a state organization, we're always looking for ways to make the community stronger. The stronger the community is, the stronger we all are. So this is wonderful. We're very excited on many levels about all this. And just with the startup school, it just made me think with our bike program and with our music program, and I did keep calling those out. We have a lot of entrepreneurial spirit in the college, but those I always think about, because a lot of them have come, they already have degrees, they already have the education, they're coming to learn a skill. But what would be even more exciting, because a lot of them want to start their own businesses, to partner with, with a startup school like that, so they're not only learning the trade of bicycle fabrication and design now, if you want, and you want to start up your own business, now we've got a partner here that we can send them to help to supplement and complement what they're getting at the college. So it's a perfect marriage.
Well, and Will, you had mentioned something to me about 1 + 1 = 4 in the collaboration.
Right, yeah, what I'm hoping, and it's my challenge to all of us, it's not to just be happy that we're talking, but it's to be thrilled that we're doing. And that we're actually making, I can't say that, making stuff happen. Yeah. It's get stuff done. It's, let's not just say that we have succeeded because I've met you, and I've met you, and I've talked to you, and I've talked to you. What have we done with that? That's what I'm going to get excited about. I've heard collaboration and cooperation. I'm an old guy. I hung around with. I went to school when dinosaurs were roaming the earth, and we've always talked about collaboration and cooperation and all of that. But let's make something bigger. Let's break the mold. Let's get out there and do more things.
Great. Yes. Awesome. We might have some doers in the audience.
I think, as a startup, building 2 startups, an innovation lab, a startup studio, and now an academy to teach entrepreneurs, we're just excited to get plugged in and to understand what are the systems and the things that already exist, so that we can get connected and find the talent, combine them with the ideas, and see how many startups we can get going and give them an opportunity to succeed.
Well, on that note, do you have any pieces of information about upcoming programs or events that if folks in the audience want to access them, what might they be? Anything you want to share?
Send your kids to Winona State.
I heard St. Thomas is a good entrepreneur.
Let me see that other one.
We just as a reminder, we've got the 2 upcoming programs in St. Cloud and Red Wing to teach customer-driven innovation. It's really the precursor to some other programming that we're working on. And then, of course, the second, the Lean Startup course, where we'll be accepting applications in a couple of months and and teaching people that part of the process.
Yeah, and it sounds like if people are interested in that, I believe tonight you can sign up on Startup Space. So after we're finished, you can go over, say hi to Lily, and go ahead and get registered for some of those opportunities.
I have a less flippant answer. It's going to hurt. Part of my job is also to go out into the community and help bring the community together. We are developing an ecosystem for Winona. And Neil was there, Adam was there, Jennifer was there, and there was a number of people that, on a December 10th meeting where we had about 70 of our leaders, and that encompassed maybe 90% of the leadership in our community, came together to talk about ecosystem. And we are developing an angel fund. We're really starting to put together the things necessary to make entrepreneurism happen. So I can tell you today that a year from now, there'll be a lot more going on in Winona. As a matter of fact, we've got Lead for Minnesota here, which is an amazing organization. You gotta talk to them about what they do. We're gonna get 2 fellows. One's gonna focus on entrepreneurism, and one's gonna focus on childcare. Because we've got 525 openings for childcare right now in Winona for a town of 25,000, and we need to fix that. So we've got to fix other things in our community in order to help bring in entrepreneurs, to help keep young people, to help make things happen. So there's a whole ecosystem beyond what we normally would think of as an ecosystem that's happening. So that's going to be exciting. Watch that space. You'll all want to move to Minnesota. You'll all want to bring your kids and put them in Winona State, St. Mary's in Southeast, maybe 1 or 2. But I think we have some great opportunities.
And Katie, we talked earlier about your makerspace.
Yes, so we partnered with Ignite and with the Red Wing Makers, and so we host makerspace up on campus, and we would love to have you guys up to see what we've got going up there. So it's for entrepreneurs that are wanting to develop prototypes. It's for people that just have home projects they want to make. Our bike program is able to utilize the makerspace during the class time, and then the makers are able to utilize some of the bike program equipment in the evenings and on Saturdays when they're open. So we would love to have anybody come up and just take a look and see what we've got up there. And what else, Mark, what else is going on at the college we want to say? We partner with community ed. So we've got, you can come to school, you can join the college and take a full program up there. But we also have a lot of short-term community and continuing ed classes that we have online. We have online classes, we have in-person classes. So if there's ever, I guess I would always just say, if there's ever anything that you're looking for, just give me a call. I'm a townie, so if it's not us that does it, I pretty much know where you can find the information. So I'm happy to be a resource for those of you who aren't from.
Connections,
Yeah.
right? I would say the same thing. If you're in the Northfield area and you're looking for some support on entrepreneurship, you can call me as well. And I think that's probably true of everybody that's up here today. Except Will. Well, let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Do you guys have any questions for these guys? Yeah.
I'd just like to make a comment or real quick, put a plug in for your Winona Entrepreneurs Club down there. And that, just got acquainted with that last year a little bit. And met up with this fellow because of that and the Ignite here. And so getting the beginnings of the team here. So that's a good thing to check out.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And seriously, you can call me. It's okay. Sunday I was on my treadmill at my health club and somebody pitched me while I was running. I don't know if I remember anything because I had no oxygen going to my brain.
Well, we were talking earlier about, for entrepreneurs, a lot of times it's about that pitch repetition. So maybe we should just start a culture of, hey, if you see that person, pitch them so that they get that practice in. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, do you all have already built in or working on any kind of pipelines where your students themselves can network and, because I work at St. Olaf too. My whole FTE is dedicated to the students. So I want to see them. I can't succeed. I've already done what I can do. I'm at the top of my game. But I want to see them raise it up. So I want them to find a network. Do you have ways that you're already working together to funnel net students to each other? Or is that something you...
I'm constantly, I have one skill, and that's networking and connecting. And I've got this insane worldwide network that I try to connect students into. And I try to, WinStart, which is our pitch competition coming up in April, is Southeast, St. Mary's, and Winona State working together. And we've got teams of students that are across university. And students from St. Mary's will call me and ask for help. It doesn't, so we don't care about boundaries. We will work with everybody. But I would like to make all of this a little more formal, and I don't want it to all just be because of me. I want it to be institutionalized, and I don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, and I think that this regional collaboration is probably a really good start to that, right? Having a platform where everybody is going into the same place, we have connections to all of those folks. It's easier for connectors like ourselves to make those matches. Susan.
Can you share a little bit about, is there anything specific in your curriculum, how you inspire or get your students to think differently?
Great question.
I don't have a curriculum. I just throw my students into the deep end and let them know that somewhere we'll find a life preserver for them if they start to drown. It's really getting involved in projects. It's not, I'm not a formal academic per se. I believe that my students should get in and do things, start using their heads, using their hands, using their hearts to make stuff. And then from that they run into problems, and then they have to reach out and network and communicate and, you know, all the things, research, take a class because now they know where they're weak in and what they need to do. So I'm more of an informal kind of knucklehead that just goes out there and does stuff.
For the community, all community and technical colleges, every program has an advisory committee, which are businesses in the area, and for some, like with our music, they fly in from around the country to meet with our instructors and our students on a minimum of an annual basis to take a look at what the instructors and what the curriculum is now, and if there needs to be any changes to keep up with current technology and what's going on. And that's been a powerful way to network, help our students network with employers, and also make sure that our instructors are staying cutting edge and keeping with. And I don't know, Mark, if you have any other additional comments on, Mark's one of our top, he's very shy as you can see, but he's one of our top instructors in computer. If we could duplicate him 10 times over, we would be in good shape. But I don't know if you had any, as far as instructor, what we do differently to, I don't know, what was your question and how
Well,
we...
it's just to inspire them to think differently, you know,
Yeah.
how do you spark that in them to not just sit in a classroom. I mean, they can sit in a classroom, but what is it that gets them to pull them out of?
Well, I think what Mark what I think is a challenge, a lot of our students are online, especially in some of his classes. Try to inspire someone, you know, virtually. I think that can be, you know, in this day and age, that can be very challenging, but this guy can do it. We have like our placement rate is off the charts with almost all of our programs, so I think it speaks to our top level instructors.
I will say one thing that we do have formalized. Yesterday I took 2 students from our business innovation class, took them to the SEMSIL, which is the Southeastern Minnesota Center for Independent Living. And my students wanted to do something to work with differently abled people to come up with solutions. But none of them were differently abled that in the traditional sense, if you will, maybe other ways. But they went out and now they're going to work with clients and then when to work with them, that means they have to understand interviewing skills, consulting skills. They have to understand what's the background, what's the research, how do you approach, all of the things that are very important for them to get what are the barriers to living independently, and also to understand that everybody's different. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So they go out there and I'm amazed. These 2 young men I'm working with have grown exponentially just over the last month or so, because now they have to think about how they're going to go forward. It's not just they're going to write a paper about something. They're going to go out and actually do something that are going to impact lives.
I think one of the things that that's really at the core of the curriculum that we're designing and putting together for innovators and entrepreneurs is that we really take a human-centered design approach. We look at things from a design innovation perspective, and we focus a lot on the concept of flow. If I were to unpack that real quick, right? Human-centered design, we want to make sure that we're solving problems for humans, putting them in the center, making sure that it works for them, doing a lot of observation work and gathering up those insights, and then moving it into design innovation, right? What's viable, feasible, and viable. I think I said that twice. But my point being is that there's a way to find that piece in the center and then go get that idea out in front of some other people. And then from a flow standpoint is getting students to understand that it doesn't have to be right the first time. Flow is about putting things out there, being vulnerable, letting other people to give you feedback, and to stay focused on that. Because the faster you get to the right idea is because other people, they give you that positive critique, right? But if you know you're in a safe, positive environment, you're going to come into a better spot. Your idea might be terrible. Wouldn't you rather know that right away?
Yeah, I'll just share a quick anecdote on that point. I'm fairly new to the liberal arts college atmosphere, and I am continually just impressed and amazed by what that interdisciplinary focus really does to organically spark creativity and innovation. The ideas that our students are coming up with, without any guidance at all, are just, it blows me away every time. And it's funny because oftentimes they'll come in and they'll have this great idea and they'll be so excited about it, and the more they think about it, they'll pull it back a little bit and they'll say, oh, is this realistic? Should I really be doing this? It happened recently with one of our teams that they just found this amazing new product that's so cool. And they were kind of walking it back. They're like, we don't know if we can really do this. I'm like, what do you have to lose, right? Like, take the risk. Like, this is the time to do it, right? You don't have anything to lose. And so I think the creativity is really out there. I think we had one more question and then we'll finish up.
Controversial question for Nick. So I was, I think, a very early adopter of Lean. I started using it right after Blank wrote his first book, and started using the business model canvas right away, and I do a lot with effectual entrepreneurship as well. Why do you think there's such a gap between what educators like us are doing and what's available out there in public coaching? So we're doing very much outside of the building, evidence-based entrepreneurship. And then when they go out into the public coaching world and some of the resources that are out there, they want to pull them back in the building and have them write a business plan with a bunch of make-believe projections and that mean nothing. And there's just this huge gap. And I talked to a lot of banker friends of mine, and I tell them about Lean, and I tell them about the process, and they're like, yeah, that's cute. And they just they still want a business plan.
Right.
Why do you think there's that gap? Is it just old habits die hard, or?
From an education perspective, I don't have a strong viewpoint on it, but if I were to translate to the corporate world where I spent quite a bit of time, it's, you come up with your curriculum, you come up with your business plan, right, and then you just go, right? My question would be is the school and education system that doesn't practice Lean and hasn't adopted some of these newer things, is it just because they haven't changed? Are they looking for the change? Because I think, like many things, if it works, why would you change it? I mean, there's nothing that's maybe there isn't anything that's causing them to make the change, because the students are still going through the class and they're still getting the credit and they're still graduating with the degree. So, and there's, I don't know if there's anything that goes, well, of how many of these students, how far did they get up in their career? And who was the person that taught them in the first place? Like there's nothing to kind of track back. Where I was going with the corporate piece is that, in the corporate world, in the same way where, like, you could build a paper prototype of your idea before going and getting a budget approved by your CFO and writing a whole business plan. We could find out if people even want to do this new thing, right? So I think the advantages of Lean and these other practices, design thinking, design innovation, they help you think through this idea and get feedback early and often, but I think the truth is people don't want feedback. It's scary. I get scared when I want to go get feedback on my own stuff, because it's probably truth hurts.
Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.